Hello guys, this is the finale for FCF, and this is a whole 10 episodes of practical Inferno solutions and solves, and basically you watch this, hopefully your cape will take no more than 15-20 attempts, and this is going to be a big focus on, again, practical solutions, maximizing prayer bonus. So we have here Devout Boots and Ring of the Gods. This is really what's carrying the setup. This is a minimum gear thing with Crystal Armor, so you can always upgrade this to T-Bow and Masuri, which would be a direct upgrade. And you can downgrade small things, like you can take Kodai and turn it into an ancient staff with ice or blood staff. You can use Kodai, you can use regular ancient staff. It really doesn't matter too much. You can use Barrows gloves, Devout Boots. Ultimately, Ring of the Gods is the thing that carries here. We're rocking 20 plus prayer bonus, and because of this, we can essentially camp prayer the entire time. We're focusing on learning, so we don't want to reduce damage or run between pillars. We're going to literally just use North Pillar alone and learn how to control North Pillar and everything around North Pillar. So we're going to more or less ignore South and ignore West, and no need for Eldritch, SDS, Justy, anything like this. These items don't do anything for you. They'll slow down your learning and slow down your progress. All you want to do is focus on damage and easy, simple solves. You'll learn a couple of tricks here and there, and we're going to cover everything from the basics all the way from bat safe spotting to blob, how blobs work, direct mechanics, how to stack them in the right place, just everything. If you need more information, it's in the description of the video, so have a look there. And this is what we're running today. I recommend anywhere from 5 to 8 brews, so you can always take more if you need. You can add a third bastion if you're really proficient, otherwise 2 is good. 1 is not so great these days, but you know, 2 is fine. Otherwise, simple stuff. So again, these attempts are going to be big on practical solutions. This is a walkthrough, not a guide. So if you're watching, have a feel for how I'm really handling waves. You want to be imitating this style quite a lot. This means everything from camera angle and positioning to where I'm standing, how I'm moving, how much delay we have. A lot of the time for these waves, we're going to be standing almost completely still and just sitting there and assessing what's going on. So big thing here is not panicking. Having a think about what's actually going on, making sure not to make a rash, sort of unjustified movement, and everything will be nice and easy. To start here, we're going to drop a couple of potions down, and for every early wave, we're just going to send 1 barrage, switch to our range damage gear, and then go and clean up. You can camp your overheads as long as you like in this early waves, don't worry too much, and we're just going to go and kill stuff. All the early things are just bats and nibblers, so you really just prey range and hunt them down. We're going to be quite aggressive, and there's no need to be running away from this stuff and hiding behind a pillar. You want to get a feel for how they attack, how they move, and just attacking them and killing them off is nice and easy. Notice I'm not going to be using the sea shield much, but optionally you can do if you want to add it in. It doesn't really matter until wave 50 or so. And again, after we do a 1 big barrage, we're going to be switching into our proper range offensive gear and bursting everything down. This is going to be the first blob wave, and what we do here, obviously, if you're in line of sight of the blob, you're going to immediately flick it. But I'm going to drag him back to the pillar, and I'm going to show you how to flick him nice and easy. Whenever you're dealing with these guys, there are standard positions around North Pillar that you're going to want to work with. So this position here is what we can call position number 1. And for flicking purposes, if I go out and I flick my prayer instantly, it's read my range prayer and it's going to hit me with mage. And what we have to do is, after the first attack hits us, we wait a second and switch. There's no specific timing here, just wait a second and switch. Wait a second and switch. You don't have to do tick perfect timing or anything. Wait a second and switch. And this is so easy, you can turn your camera away from the blob. Wait a second and switch. Anyone can do this. Hits me, wait a second, switch. Hits me, wait a second, switch. There's almost no timing to do with this, you just wait a second. And the second is not precise. Now if I'm standing far away from the blob, I need to switch as soon as the attack hits me. So I'm about this far away now, and I gotta switch as soon as the attack hits me. So I'm far away, he attacks me, and I can turn my camera again. The attack hits me and I switch prayers. Attack hits me and I switch prayers. And that's blobs. That's how you deal with blobs. You don't need to, there's no timing or anything, there's nothing important here. The one skill we're going to be doing is 1 tick alternating. And that looks a bit like this. If you're doing this, the blob can never hit you. Ever. And so we're going to be using this to deal with wave stacks later in the run. And if you're dealing with, like, let's say, a ranger and 2 blobs, if you just attack the ranger and alternate, the blobs don't exist, you can kill the ranger and you're good to go.
You could make a mean pizza with those.
That's about all there is to it. You're going to want to get really good at this, and I recommend sitting on this wave. This is wave 4. And you can just sit on this wave and practice this until you get really good at it. You should be good enough at it that you can do it from pretty much any position, anytime. So if I'm just like running across the room, and randomly I'm like, okay, alternate now. And you should just be able to do this. This is a key skill for Inferno. You need to learn how to do this. So put some time into it. Don't be afraid to actually practice. Most of the game you don't really practice because you don't have to. The game is relatively easy. But Inferno, for a lot of you, might be the first point where you're actually struggling with something, so consider giving it a go. Just taking some time to practice both with blobs and with melees, which we'll encounter later on. So, this is position number 1. And what we're going to do is, I need to join a party real quick. What we're going to do is we're going to attack from here or further back. You can't attack from where the restore is or further up. You have to be here or further back. And now we're going to start flicking blobs, exactly as described. So I just wait a second, switch my prayer. And when the blob dies, you need to remain standing on this tile. And I can walk further back here as well. And this is really important because when we switch into our mage here to barrage, from back here, all the way back here, I can cast a barrage manually and another one manually to get a big heal. We'll be doing this a bit more later on, but just keep it in mind. But for now, remember, if you pray range and you just have this stack here by standing here, nice free game. Nothing hits you. You need to look at this guy to make sure he doesn't come around the pillar. The major is often not frozen, so be aware of that. And now we've had that, we're going to cover 2 more examples on the north pillar of how blobs work, and otherwise we're just going to kill stuff. We're going to flick this guy, and now we're going to enact this like flicking cycle. When it hits us, we just switch our prayer. When it hits me, I just switch my prayer, because I'm quite far away now. So when it hits me, I just switch my prayer. And now you've learned how to deal with blobs. Doesn't matter where the blob is standing or what way it's looking at you. If it's looking at you funny, it doesn't matter. You just know that you wait a second and flick your prayer. That's it. So now this blob, on the next wave, same position. So let's deal with him in exactly the same way. I'm going to be having this very, very particular pattern of dealing with NPCs in exactly the same way to make things really consistent, which is going to take the edge off, and once you've learned it, you just have a really easy time. There we go. Whenever we get low restore, we're going to sip. So about 50 to 60, we can sip. Let's barrage the stack. Notice the blob, when we're standing here, anywhere here, the blob is stuck, which is great. So now we can go and kill these nibblers, and then we can kill the bats. No need to hide, let's just aggress them. They're just 2 bats. We can pray against them just fine. And now this is kind of like the second or the third blob position, doesn't matter which way you look at it. This one is the worst one, but it's okay, it doesn't really matter too much. And the way we're going to deal with this one is we're going to stand here and attack it, and move into it. We move into it to prevent the melee from attacking us. It'll make sense in a second. So this one's a bit annoying, but not a big deal. We're going to flick him in exactly the same way. He attacks us, we wait a second, and we flick prayers. For this one, when we stand close, we need to move in as the blob dies. And then we're going to barrage the middle one. Notice the melee is stuck. These 2 can attack me, so we do want to barrage them and get rid of them. Great. Nice and easy. So we're starting on pillar. Nice big wide camera angle. 1 barrage, and in this case, let's run away. Notice I'm not prayer flicking this guy, but now I'm going to. Once I'm in a safe position, I can. I can also go to Nibbler safe spot here, which is really good. This is basically just all the way back over here. So it's in line with the pillar and all the way back. And notice how I'm flicking the blob again. I'm just waiting for it to hit me, and I'm flicking my prayer. There's no magic here. It's just, you just react to it. It's easy. So I want to drag this guy in, and I'm going to move around the pillar in order to... I missed this one. I'm going to move around the pillar in order to attack him, to drag this guy in. For this position, I would like to kill him over here, but instead I'm going to run up to him. So we're going to flick him exactly the same, run up to him, mage gear on, and 1 barrage. You can blood barrage here if you want to, and make sure to pray against the final melee. So if I'm low HP, you can blood barrage. If you're high HP, just ice barrage. And this guy, again, this is now the 3rd position, the final position we're going to look at. And we want to kill him from the south side of North Pillar. And exactly the same way as we did on the east side, we're going to be standing here and further back, but not on these 2 tiles. And if I stand still, I get this lovely formation. If I want to heal big time, I can do exactly the same. I can run all the way back, put on augury, take off negatives, and I double manual cast my blood barrage. So I get to 95 HP, and then I cast again, and I should be 99 quite happily. Pray mage for this guy just in case, and we're good to go. When you get a kind of subpar barrage, you can always send 2, especially on something like Nibblers here. And now we're on to the melee waves. So these waves are also relatively simple, and what we're going to be doing is learning just very briefly how to safe spot the melee and how to work with the melee, as well as some of the core melee mechanics. So this guy has a dig timer, and after I think 50 ticks, he's going to dig on me at the start of a wave. If he digs once, the next time he digs is going to be a bit random, but it could be anywhere from about 15 ticks to about 25 ticks, I think, something like that. In short, when there's a melee, you know when he's going to dig for the first time, but you don't know when he's going to dig the second and third time, and onwards. So you want to be able to learn how to handle him, and more importantly, if you take a hit from him like this, with melee prey on preferably, this will reset his dig timer. He now can't dig for 15 ticks, so maybe 10 seconds or so. So if I do this non-stop, if I'm in and out, I can handle the melee and keep him in control. And this is important for the later waves where you want to keep him alive or prevent him from moving when you're trying to DPS something else. And it's worth understanding a couple of the safe spots here. For example, if I'm standing on this side of the pillar, I can move to this tile here. This is your 50 start tile. And I can move anywhere from over here into my 50 start tile. Or I can move back up here. I have two options. I can move to these two tiles, which is great. So if you're not sure how to deal with melees, if it's your first time learning Inferno, just come up here and play around with it for a little bit. Get a feel for what's going on. And you can even do some stuff like bring him around the pillar, and you can learn how this kind of safe spot works as well. I can drag him down the pillar, he can follow me. And the idea here is he's trying to move into the pillar. He's trying to move in, but he's stuck by the pillar. So melee digs, I can run up here. And you can sit here and just let him dig a few times. The next time he digs, I can run over here, for example. And then when he digs from here, I run back. And you can play around with him, get a feel for it. We'll be using some of these safe spots and traps throughout the run. And now that I'm attacking him, I want to keep him in place. So let's take a hit. Taking a hit means I'm in control of him. And again, this is important later on. Our start tiles are anywhere on these 6 tiles. This one is preferable. And most of the time with melees, we're going to just stand still. The only spawns that can get to you are the spawns up here and over here. So this guy is going to become stuck. If I just stand still, he's stuck. Don't panic. We're going to Bofa this guy. Bofa is really good for long-ranging stuff that's far out. And now we just chill. As far as plugins go, you're going to want to be using GPU plugin with increased render distance. It's quite nice to see stuff far away. You're going to want Entity Hider on with dead NPCs ticked so that they disappear on death. This prevents you from misclicking stuff. And I have low detail on for the ground, which is also really nice. Low detail is not that necessary, but it can be quite nice for Inferno especially. You can see the melee is dragging around the bat, so I need to be careful here. It's actually safe spotted on the bat, funnily enough, but I got to be careful here. Normally, if you got a big melee coming towards you, just pray melee. There's no reason not to. And don't be afraid, you don't need to hide behind something. You can practice your blowpipe walking, you can move around freely. We don't need to hide from every NPC, we only need to hide from like dangerous spawns. This is not a waste of prayer, just burn the melee down. That's all we gotta do. If you want to speed things up at any point, you can use Rigger. Let's go back on the pillar. One barrage and see what happens. One barrage, and you can always click the ground to not get dragged. These guys can drag you sometimes. Looks like these guys are safe spotted. Great. We can use Bofa to finish up whenever we want, that's fine. And now we want to kill the melee. You can come up here with this guy. And this position is very good if there's a melee on either side. If there's a melee here or a melee here, they're both stuck. We can take a hit with melee, getting used to this idea, getting comfortable with this idea. And this will keep him in place while I kill him, which will make life easier. And now we go back behind the pillar, just take a minute, and lo and behold, this guy is in the same position we've already dealt with, so we can do that again. And now all we have to do is deal with him exactly the same way as before. He dies, take a step in. We're praying mage because the ranger's on us, and the mage is on us. So we pray against the more damaging guy. And now we lost a bit of HP. Again, this position is not the best, but that doesn't matter. If you want to, you can blood barrage here on the start of waves. Let's just click the ground again, just to be sure. This stops us from getting dragged towards those guys. And notice by standing still, the wave is once again kind of solved. So all we really have to do is just chill, kill this guy, and if you want to, take a melee hit every now and then, just to keep him in place. Another note on plugins, well not really plugins, but if you're playing on full screen in particular, it's going to harm your ability to be able to do not just Inferno, but high-level PVM. It's not the end of the world, but it does help a lot to make your client size drastically smaller. For reference, I play on 1040 by 635, and that's fairly reasonable as far as client size goes. Full screen is very detrimental, but nothing else that's quite small doesn't matter too much. We're trying to basically minimize the distance you have to look between areas of your screen, and also for your mouse to track between those areas. Right, we got a blob here, and if I attack him, what's going to happen is, because I stay spotted from him and he stays spotted from me, if I click him, I'm going to get dragged out here in line of sight of everything up there. That's not good. What we can do is we can take a step out and then attack. This applies here and here as well. But if I just attack him like this, I'm going to get dragged. I'll end up here, and that's not good. So we're trying to build really good habits throughout the entire thing. Let's do one barrage, click the ground, and just have a think. Okay, everything looks fine. Let's maybe Bofa this to get rid of it. Let's attack this bat. We're just going to kill stuff if in doubt. Always just kill stuff. And now it looks like we have a melee and a blob. Melee looks safe spotted. Great. Let's turn prayer off and chill. And again, most of these waves, you'll be surprised about the sheer amount of waves that are solved by just standing still. There's really not that much to it. Let's take a hit from the melee, just to keep him in place temporarily. We're just doing a bit more practice here and there, building on stuff every time. And then we have a blob in the same position as before. This time I'm fairly low HP, so I could either heal from the melee a little bit, or I can heal from the blob a little bit. Doesn't really matter. We're still doing the same flicking pattern and everything. Blob attacks, wait a second, good to go. One barrage here. Is it any good? It's not bad. Let's try one more maybe. Let's go for this guy. Okay. If I walk out here, this guy's gonna hit me. I'll display what I mean. So last time I stepped back here because he was frozen. If I step back here, he's gonna hit me. So I could either do that and pray melee, but if I click him, I get dragged out. That's not what we want. One barrage here. Click the ground. And let's try and flick this guy. There's two guys up here and one guy over here. Let's go around the pillar by clicking him, and I'm going to get dragged across this corner, which is great. If I'm standing up here, I'm going to get dragged down, so make sure you're on the corner if you want to be dragged around, or manually path over here. I've now got two blobs to work with, but the benefit of this is that they're both same ticked. So if I come out here, they're same ticked, they see me, and I can flick them at the same time. So I wait a second, and flick my prayer. Wait a second, flick my prayer. And that's all there is to it, same thing. When this guy dies, I gotta flick the back blob, and I can barrage here. Not bad. Now let's bring this guy towards me. Get him into this standard position. Makes life easy. Means I'm not gonna take excess damage. Well, okay, I misflicked, but sure. And then we can heal up here. Let's pray mage here. 91 HP is fine for these waves. Anywhere from about 85 is plenty at this point. Once we get to wave 50, we want to be really high HP. And now we can blob barrage. We know it's two melees because we just had two blobs. We can even move about quite freely. Don't need to be afraid of these guys. Just pray melee and go and attack. We're now on wave 16, so we're about a quarter of the way through the waves, give or take. Albeit HP is going to increase. And we've used almost no restore. Not even a full one yet. Been camping my prayer the entire time. So again, you have infinite prayer. If you're wondering again, recommended stats, recommended gear, recommended everything, advice is all in the description, so take a look if you're not sure. And next up is the rangers. Again, if you want to speed things up, you can always flick rigger like this, or just camp it, it's up to you. Sometimes you really need to kill stuff fast, other times it doesn't matter. And again, this guy's just a singular ranger, so let's just barrage. Oh, never mind, we've got double nibblers. Brain freeze. Let's clear this up using our blowpipe. And now we have ranger. So one barrage. And in this case, it's just a range NPC, so let's go and attack it. You can camp your prayer the entire time. If you want to, and you have quick prayers, you can flick quick prayers like this if you're capable. This is really good, gives you lossless rigor and lossless overhead. You can also just flick rigor like this, or flick your prayers. Doesn't matter, if you want to add stuff, feel free. If it's more interesting or it helps you, go for it. Back on North Pillar, one barrage, and let's move to our proper gear. Kill this nibbler off, kill the bat off, and again, it's all ranged NPCs, there's nothing to worry about here. So we can flick like this as well. If you want to practice your one tick, you can do that too. Early waves like this are great to practice. You don't have to attack the NPC, you can just practice your flicks. And this again is a skill we're going to need later on. Right now doesn't matter so much. 2 bats this time, no biggie. Still range NPCs, let's just go and attack them. And another skill we're going to need later on is blowpipe walking. So going like this, attack, move, attack, move, attack, move, attack, move. This is what we're going to be doing for healers at Zug. So it's important to get some experience in this, whether you've done it at the likes of, I don't know, Zulrah, Vorkath, wherever you've maybe used this kind of idea. But it's important to give it a go. 1 barrage, and let's hide from the ranger. Notice I'm taking a hit from the blob, but that's okay, I'm going to start flicking it immediately. When this attack hits me, I can pray range, and I can now go click the ranger. So we're using the initial idea of how to flick the blob, timing it with the ability to move towards the ranger. This guy drags in, and as long as I attack him from over here, I have that standard position as before. As the wave gets more complex, these things still exist. You can tone down the complexity. After the ranger dies, it's just a blob wave. I can now focus on these guys. And bear in mind, if you're Bofering, you can always use Bofa to attack pretty much any NPC you want, and it's pretty good. So don't feel like you have to blow up everything. If it's out of range, you can always just use Bofa. In a standard position, standing here or further back. And I'll send another barrage here. Great. Let's use more restore. At no point do we need to care about how much restore we use. Let's duck behind the pillar and start flicking this guy. When the attack hits me, I flick. When the attack hits me, I flick. If you really want to do something like flick to your range prey and come out and attack like this, you can do it. But we still have to flick him. When this attack hits me, I can pray range, and then move across to attack. So you have a little window after the attack hits you. After you switch your prayers against blobs, you have this small window to do an action. And now this blob is in, yet again, another standard position. So we have north, west, and east. And that's about all you get as far as blobs goes. So we're going to make sure to attack him from this south side. We're in a good position. 87 HP, so let's use a blood barrage. 1 blood barrage, you can use augury if you want, but damage is good. 99 HP, lovely. So a lot of our healing just comes from bloblets at this point, which is fine. Let's run away. Lots of NPCs up here. I can get my Bofa on. If you want to just attack this immediately, that's okay. You can even pray mage for the blob after you move back. Or I can go to bat safe spot and do it from there. But that's a nice easy way to get a hit off. This is clearly safe spotted. And the great thing about NPCs on corners like this, and over here as well, is that I can move out in order to engage it. But if I want to at any point, I can just move back up and trap it. So as long as I move down, I get more control. But if I move in like this, notice that he's going to come round the pillar, and that's not great. But you can always move in and out of these 2 tiles, which is fantastic. Same principle, when he dies, I'm going to move up and barrage. This isn't great, but it works, so it's fine. And pray mage on for this guy. There is a bat safe spot here, which is quite nice. There's a bit of this on every pillar, I guess, but it doesn't really matter for bats, you just attack them. If you want like specific tile ideas for behind North Pillar and pillar stacks, I recommend checking out a guide. You can use the one in Weedy Raids, or you can use Exec's guide, either is fine. But this kind of walkthrough, this is much more about the practical solutions and how you really deal with waves. Let's use some more restore. We're just going to top up at every given point as soon as we can. And let's hide. This guy might attack me, that's okay. Let's start flicking him. And I want to kill this guy, so I can I can maybe use range prayer and then back into mage. If I take a hit or 2 at this point, it's okay. I want to drag this guy in. Let's just go over here for a second. Just getting some damage, and let's come back around. If I take a few hits here, it's no biggie. We're just trying to kill him off a little bit, get some damage in. Turns out I took no damage at all. If you want to just pray range while you're on that side and let this guy hit you, that's fine too. And this guy's quite low, so I'm just going to kill him. No point overcomplicating it when it doesn't need to be. For blobs and big NPCs like Ranger and Major, I do usually recommend alternating it, but sometimes you can just out-damage it, or you can just tank it, and if you need HP, just heal up from the Ranger. Again, we can throw in some one-tick alternation practice. You can throw in some movement practice, whatever you need to do. But again, practice is very, very underestimated. Wave 4 blob practice, melee practice, whatever you need to do. One barrage, click the ground, and let's see what's going on. Range is attacking me, melee is stuck. I can, if I want to, go for this guy, and back on the melee. Now, what happens when the melee digs? This is the first wave where I need to generate a bit of a plan. My plan is going to be to click this tile if he digs. He doesn't because I killed him, great. And this is going to be a pretty common circumstance, is that you try and make a plan, and then you just kill something, and that's fine. DPS is the rank 1 option for pretty much everything Inferno. You just want to kill stuff. If it's dead, it can't hit you. But we do want to make a plan. So have a think especially about melees. One barrage, and this one spawn we know is going to get to me, so let's run away. In fact, let's run away to the other side of the pillar. This guy's going to get to me. And now he's stuck. Okay. Let's kill this bat. And as demonstrated before, this tile up here in the middle of this pillar is really good because the melees on both sides cannot get to me. They just sit there. I can use Rigor to speed this up. I'm going to flick Rigor, or again, can just hands off and camp it. Whatever it is to get rid of it. Maybe a two-way Kodai and a Cult, and then Barrage. Let's go back and kill this guy. Blowpipe or both is fine. And so we're learning a bit every wave. This wave we learned that we can stand here for melees either side of the pillar, which is great. We can use that tile a bit more frequently now. And so there are 9 other episodes of this kind of Inferno practical stuff. If you're looking for more ideas or different solves or just different wave encounters, have a look at some of them as well. There's a link to the playlist in the description yet again at the bottom. Or you can just search on the channel. So we're just coming around the pillar. There's lots of stuff up here. And we're just killing something. Doesn't matter what we kill as long as we kill it. I now have a melee here, and remember, if I click him, he's safe spotted, so I'm going to get pulled out to this tile, and that's bad. Now the ranger is pretty quick to kill. I can even use Rigor once again to speed things up. And now I need to get control of the melee. If I come round, remember I can do this, and you can practice this on the melee wave, and I can get control of it. So now I've got control of it, I can kill it. It won't dig for a little while. Rigor to speed things up, maybe. Great. Let's go to the bat safe spot and clean up. Another dose of restore. At this point, I can also pick up one of them. Gonna pick up the second one soon. And now we have a ranger, melee, and blob. Everything is north. Let's run away. Let's just run away. From this kind of distance, I'm usually able to barrage, but when you do this, try and step out one and then barrage. This helps a little bit. I'm gonna corner trap real quick. See if I can just get this guy. Okay. So I've corner trapped the ranger, and I've got a melee who's gonna dig. I'm just taking a second to think about it. And the answer is, let's move out and attack the ranger. When the melee digs, I can move back here to re-corner trap the ranger. These are principles we've learned already. Melee digs, okay, let's walk there. And now it's trapped. Let's pray melee and kill the melee. If you don't think about this, and maybe you stand here instead, that drags the ranger around, and now you got to deal with 2 of these guys. So taking a second to just relax and consider your position and consider what's happening, including especially melees, means you have really, really easy solutions to pretty much any wave. Okay, it's dead. Let's untrap the ranger and go kill it. Once we're done with the ranger, we've got a blob, but we're 99 HP, so let's just move out. Go and kill. Not a bad barrage. Let's switch to our proper gear and finish up. Nice big camera angle. One barrage, and this is a tricky wave. Let's put on a Rigor immediately. I'm going to kill this nibbler, and I'm going to go kill the blob. Actually, the bat's on the way. Let's kill the bat. Notice I'm not praying mage at all. I'm just camping Rigor for defense, and I'm going to go kill this guy. In times like this, you can alternate if you want to, but it's just a single blob, so it's easier to just kill it. If I need help, I can always double blowpipe spec, but for now I'm just going to straight up kill everything with blowpipe. The melee is going to dig at some point, so I've got to be aware of that. I've got options here. I can hide over here, or I can just run to North Pillar. I'm going to run to North Pillar. Rigger can now come off. Let's pray melee. And sometimes DPSing like that is just the easiest way to do it. If you're being gate kept by lots of different NPCs, just kill one. Okay. We're going to check that we have Blood Barrage on this. That's probably better to have Blood Barrage in. Can take off negative if I want to. Sip some more restore and good to go. You can flick Augury here if you want to. It will help a bit. There won't be many waves you need to do something like this. So don't be too afraid to just send it, really. One barrage. Let's hide. Lots of stuff over here. Gonna get my proper tank gear on and rigor on. And I'm just gonna kill the bat. There's 2 nibblers up here, so let's run back to the nibbler safe spot. And send a barrage up here. I'm gonna start flicking the blob now. Okay, good. I can probably ice barrage this guy. Yeah, you can Bofa him as well from this kind of range. And I still gotta flick this blob. Alright. I can't reach the blob easily, so what I can do is go around to meet the melee. Notice that his long hitbox means the ranger can't get around the pillar. There's a few ways to deal with a wave like this, but this is a nice easy one. And when this guy dies, these guys are gonna shuffle across. So let's go back and hit the blob before he dies. Okay, let's go meet the blob. I'm gonna pray range for the bat, and I'm gonna send a blood barrage for a bit more HP, and now we can clean up. If he ever dies. There we go. Let's go attack ranger. If you're ever in a like a tricky wave, you can always just quickly switch your gear, get a bit more HP, and then go back. Only takes a second. If you're not blood barraging a ton, it's quite good. Just to top up a little bit. Right, 1 barrage. We're getting to some more interesting waves now. 1 barrage, and let's put on our proper gear, rigor, and I'm gonna go click the ranger. I'm now gonna try and get an alternation cycle. It doesn't matter I'm getting attacked, don't worry about this. Let's just wait a second and try and get the right cycle. You ready? Now. Doesn't matter if I get hit. Just keep going. Keep alternating until the blob attacks. Now you can stop. And I know the melee's gonna dig, so let's put on rigor and kill this guy as well. So I'm opting for basically just pure DPS. The melee digs, that's fine. Let's pray melee and kill these guys. I'm just standing still because if I move back, there's a chance that this guy sees me, so I'm just attacking. And notice that I'm ignoring this pillar. The pillar doesn't matter. Okay, everything is dead. Let's take off rigor. Just take a breather. Use some more restore. I can flick rigor still, just to speed things up. I've got something on the pillar, so I want to go fast here, right? Both are on. Let's both for it. Notice I'm going to get seen by the blob, so let's try and start flicking the blob. Doesn't matter if you miss a tick, because you're going to get the next one anyway. Or miss a hit. There's the hit. Let's flick. Okay. So nice big DPS wave. Works perfectly fine. Let's go attack this guy. And again, it does require you to be relatively confident setting up a one-tick alternate. But what I'm trying to show is that you don't have to rush it either. That example there, I waited about 4 or 5 blob hits in order to do it. So there's no need to go in and like immediately start alternating. Just put on rigor, get your tank gear on, and slow down. 1 blood barrage, and I'm gonna need to get some HP. This guy's gonna get stuck anyway, so I can keep sending blood barrages. You can even send another one, for, like when manually casting, and get a bit more out of it. Let's pray melee. And notice he's stuck. I can be on any of these 6 tiles here, and he's stuck and can't hit me. I've got 1, 2, 3 tiles out from the pillar. If I go a 4th tile out, he's gonna see me like this. That's not good. So I've got another melee over here that's going to dig. Does it matter? No, I'm praying melee. So I can let him dig, no worries. When he digs on top of you, so just hands off the keyboard and let him slide out. If you attack him while he's on top of you, you're going to get pulled out. In this case, I'd get pulled out this way, which is really bad. So just have some patience with the melees, let them do their thing. You can also right-click and path to particular areas you want to, but when they're doing this kind of thing underneath you, either right-click path out or just wait, because they're going to go and get you killed otherwise. We're 94 HP, but we got a double nibbler wave coming, we've got rangers coming, so these waves aren't particularly hard. For the wave counter, I know a lot of you want the waves on screen, but I don't like it on screen personally. It doesn't really add anything to the run. You kind of know what's coming because I had 2 melees and that becomes a ranger, so you know I'm getting 2 rangers on the next wave. And if you get hung up on wave number, you're not going to focus on solving the wave. So you really need to just look at what's in front of you when the wave spawns and figure it out. 2 rangers, okay, chill. In fact, it's so chill I can go click them. We are 30 minutes into the run. Not quite halfway, quote-unquote, through the waves, but HP-wise, maybe like a third of the way through the waves. We're aiming to get this first cape done in anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours. So an hour and a half to 2 hours, something like that. Some of you will be 2.5 hours. No one should be anywhere near 3 hours. If you're doing a 3-hour cape, you got to go a bit faster or maybe get some better stats and gear. Or focus on just killing stuff. Right. From this point onwards, we're praying mage on wave starts. We have this double nibbler, and then we have the mages coming up. We're gonna barrage these, same as before. Finish up with blowpipe. If you want to, you can change your quick prayers to include magic if you want to flick properly. If not, no big deal. One barrage, and let's just hide for a second. There's no rush to go and meet him. Get our gear on, and now we can go attack. As soon as we hit the major waves, we're gonna play a little bit more carefully. We can't just run out and attack stuff. And we got to remember, the major can respawn NPCs. So it can't respawn nibblers, but bats, blobs, melees, rangers, even other mages it can respawn. So you want to be a little bit careful. Ideally, we kill the major first, but major takes a long time to kill. So I can kill a melee or a ranger or a blob in the time it takes a melee to dig, but I can't kill a major in that time, unless it's like maybe half HP or lower. You got to be a little bit careful. But for this guy, nice and simple, just pray mage, AFK, kill it off. Nothing much here. Blowpipe is okay DPS as well. One barrage, and let's have a think. Okay, get my tank gear on, blowpipe on, let's go click this guy, let's go click the major, and I can switch to Bofa in a second, there we go. I've got a bat over here, but again, I don't want to kill the bat, because it might get respawned. If it's stuck, it's stuck. If it's attacking me, I would kill it. But there's no point getting stuff to respawn because ultimately it's going to take more time to kill it again, which is more prayer usage and more time added to the run. And we don't want to be in Inferno for that long because it's not that fun. Zuck is fun, the waves are a bit boring until quite late. So anything to keep the wave time nice and low. For a lot of NPCs, like bats and melees in particular, if I take a step out then in for the pillar line, this will free the bat. This is a nice trick for melees as well. And again, both the stuff is fine. Sip a restore and mage spray on. Let's barrage and hide. Let's get my proper gear on. I can send a Bofa hit if I want to. Again, I can interchangeably use that with blowpipe. And I've got this bat behind the major and I've got a nibbler up here. Let's pray mage, just in case I get dragged out, you never know. And I can go hit this guy. Take a step up and start attacking. And again, we're just AFK. Go watch a series or something. There's a respawn. Whenever a respawn occurs, it's a 1 in 10 rate for any dead NPC. Sorry, for every 1 in 10 attacks, it revives a random NPC that died. When the NPC comes back to life, if I kill it again, like this, it can't respawn. It also has half HP. So every NPC has half HP, which means you can kill it really quickly if you need to. Whenever it respawns, it uses 2 full attack cycles to do that. So if I'm one-tick alternating like this, and it revives something, I can just keep one-tick alternating. I can just continue on. So now we have a blob wave. For this wave, we might just one-tick alternate, we'll see. Let's barrage, and yeah, let's just click the major, and find a time to one-tick alternate. You ready? So just watch the attack, and begin. Doesn't matter if I take a blob hit or two. I keep alternating until the blob attacks me. There's the attack. Now I gotta flick exactly as before. Just getting rid of these guys, and let's bring him back to the pillar. Shouldn't have really run up to him. Speedrunner habit. Okay, we can chill for a second. I'm 95 HP, but if I took some damage here, I could heal. Otherwise, just as normal. Nice and easy. One barrage, and let's just hide. Everything is up here. Let's pray range for the bat. Let him get within range of me, and then right click to attack. If you just click something like that, there's a good chance you just get dragged out and perish. Remain stationary and nice and chill. This guy is safe spotted. Remember, we can play around with it. We can move out to attack. We can move into resafe spot. This is completely fine. But if you attack from here, you're gonna get dragged out. Nearly 40 minutes into the run. When we get to wave 50, the fun stuff begins. We're on wave 39, so not too far away. We're averaging about 1 minute per wave right now. So this is a bit of a fast run, but I've also been focusing on DPS. But I've also done explanations and things and demonstrated stuff, so even if you're on your first cape, you could do a run much faster than this. You could also have Rigor on half the time. You could be potted if you bring a third Sandview or Bastion, whatever it is. But this is by no means a particularly fast run, even for an example cape. 55 restore. Prayer, let's use some more restore. The reason why we're staying topped up so frequently is because on certain waves, if they're really hard waves, I want to be able to just sit there and burn my prayer while I alternate. I don't want to be able to have to go into my inventory and deal with stuff. I just want to sit there and that's it really. Let's kill this bat. And on later waves that matters a lot because you might be sitting there flicking for 30, 40, 50 seconds. One barrage and let's hide. Lots of stuff up here. I want to drag the major closer, which means going around the pillar. Let's wait for an attack, and then go around. I'm flicking the blob now, but I can always return back to range spray momentarily. Some of these more advanced and more interesting kind of flicking things you can learn on your first cast, or you can learn just even on first cape if you take a fair few attempts. But there's lots of fun ways to flick blobs and more cycles than you'd think of for lots of different NPCs. And again, blobs aren't that precise. You can just flick them sort of semi-randomly. If you want to speed stuff up, use Rigor. Or flick your main prayer if you need prayer. Okay, blob next. Guys behind can't really get to me. Let's attack from the standard position, finish him up. And again, notice that no matter what wave we're on, this idea of like collapsing complexity always continues. Gonna pray range here for the bat, might get hit, but no biggie. Bats don't really care about, let's just go kill him. But even the most complex waves, like wave 61, 2, and 3, they fall back down and you can more or less see results from practicing stuff on low waves, even in the high waves. This is another idea on why wave number doesn't really matter so much. One barrage. Oh, okay, I missed the barrage. Let's flick the blobs for a second and then try and kill these guys. I now gotta flick this together. I'm trying to flick the two blobs. Let's get Bofa ready. And what I'm gonna do is attack the major, which drags me around the pillar. And I'm gonna start alternating. So on this next one where I pray mage, now we can go. And ideally you alternate immediately like this. Keep alternating till the blob attacks. There it is, now I can stop. And now we flick normally. With 2 blobs left, I can happily take a bit of damage and heal off of them, heal from them. So move in, barrage, go around this way for this guy. And throughout the entire thing, I think we kept 99 HP, which is great. More restore usage, and pray mage for the final guy. Now we have a major and a melee, so it's getting quite interesting now. But this is an easy wave. So we can send 1 barrage, maybe click the ground, don't get dragged out like this, a bit scary. And we can kill the melee here. We want to get to the stuff on our south pillar. If you care about saving your pillar, then, you know, just Bofa it or blowpipe it down, get rid of it. It might get respawned, but we don't care too much about respawned melees. And if you're pillar cautious, then this is completely fine. I generally recommend letting your south pillar die when wave 50 spawns, or any time around then. The reason why is because when you have a major that spawns up here, and majors can spawn here occasionally, it will hit the pillar and it will drag down, instead of coming directly to you if the pillar's dead. So if the pillar lives, the major comes down, and it increases its angle, and its angle can see you on this tile here. So if the pillar's dead, that doesn't happen. Let's run away from the melee. We can just kill it because it's respawned. So, in short, having your south pillar die by wave 50 is actually beneficial. It also means when you're barraging from this tile, you're not going to get dragged out because of the nibblers going up. So it prevents you from being dragged, and it means that everything on north pillar is easier to solve, and it means that no one's going to hit you here. May seem a bit counterintuitive, but it's okay to let your south pillar die. West pillar's a bit more useful, and it doesn't matter too much whether it lives or dies, so you can save it at your own leisure. 1 barrage, click the ground, and let's just chill. We have a very similar wave, so let's do exactly the same thing. Everything's safe spotted. I can use Rigger here, just to speed it up. I can even attack the bat behind it, just to get rid of it. So we're not too concerned about south pillar, but we are cautious. Send a nice barrage. Finish up with Bofa, maybe an attack on the major while we wait. Oh, there's 2 alive. If there's 2 alive, I can do a switch like this and go for it. And we might get a respawn, but that's okay. There's a bat. We can get a bat safe spot. And blowpipe it down. So we've used about 3 full restores to get to wave 40 odd. Realistically, by the time we get to Zuck, we're going to have anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 restores remaining. And we're going to end the run with maybe 2 to 3 restores. So we're not even going to use our entire set of supplies. And that's camping prayer. I'm not flicking really, so. This is to say that if you were to bring an Eldritch with this setup, you're just wasting your time. It doesn't do anything for you. 1 barrage, click the ground, proper gear on, melee is stuck, major is stuck, so let's pray range, and kill the bat. Do a 2-way here, and try and get a nice ice barrage. Now, I gotta think about this here. So, instead of killing the melee and letting it respawn, let's kill the major. But the melee's gonna respawn, so what am I gonna do? Well, the answer is, I'm gonna stand anywhere up here. In fact, anywhere in this area is fine, like, anywhere here. And I'm gonna move diagonally, like this. I'm going to move diagonally, like this, when it spawns, when it digs. And this kind of diagonal movement means his northeast tile digs here, and then he can't get to me because I'm on his corner. And he's trying to move in. You can do it by going here to here, or here to here, or here to here. You can go from up here and down. There's loads of options. But we're just adding this to our arsenal of little tips and tricks we have against the melee. And I'm going to pray melee and just make sure to take a hit to keep him in position. And that's all we're really doing, is we're just learning a couple of things here and there. I'm in the bat safe spot right now. Can both of this guy to finish, or... Oh, there we go. Nice wide angle view. 1 barrage. Lots of stuff up here. Let's duck around the pillar. A blob is coming to meet me, so let's try and flick the blob. In this case, it's probably easier if I just kill the blob. I've got a melee corner trap, so if I release him from the corner trap, he's going to come round. That's okay though. Let's just kill stuff. Let's pray melee here, because the melee's coming round. Send the barrage here, and try and kill off these guys. Okay. Now what I really want to do is I want to get round the pillar to save my west pillar. Let's go to the corner over here, and just see where the melee moves. After an attack, I can move around. Praying mage, of course. Now, I can't really get to these guys, so let's kill this melee off. I could have also just killed the melee, it doesn't really matter. I'm just getting to a slightly better position, and now I can blood barrage over here. I can send a couple from this distance. If you manually cast, you can get this phantom. Some nice heals. So if you're ever unsure on a wave, especially with mages on, just attack stuff. Just kill stuff. There are probably better ways to do this wave, where I could have kept the blob from getting to me, could have prevented the melee from getting to me. The reality is, if you're unsure, just kill stuff. Have a look at what NPCs are doing, where they're stuck on. Like that melee, for example, was stuck over here. So if I moved into here, I would have to be just praying melee. But instead of being flustered about a blob and a melee on me, I just killed one of them. It's gone. Melee's back. I can send a couple of hits and it should die. Great. I'm going to start moving some of my supplies upwards, so they're a bit closer to the top of my inventory. On barrage, click the ground. I'm going to get Bofa on, just to attack whatever's left up here. And let's just stay still. This is one of those waves where you just stay still. So I'm going to kill the bat, because the bat's kind of annoying, just trying to think about what to do. And I could kill the melee here, it's kind of annoying, so again, let's just kill the melee. I really want to be attacking the major. To do that, I have to come back here and let the major drag in towards me. And if I do that, that means I'm going to have to flick the blob. And if I do that and I stand here, then the melee is going to be a problem. So this is again one of those waves where it might just be easier to just kill whatever's attacking me. Kill the bat. I can pray range, by the way, since it's reviving for a second and then back to mage. And now I can go around the pillar. Of course it's reviving everything. I'm just going to flick the blob for a second, letting the major come closer. And now let's go around the pillar. Just killing the melee again. And now the major's a bit closer. And so the issue here again is like, if the major's back here and I go around the pillar, the major comes in, and by the time I move back around to attack the major, the melee's gonna dig. So just removing the melee is the easiest example here. I'm not under a stressful scenario, I have no pressure to do anything, so removing something like the melee is nice and easy. I'm 85 HP, so when I kill the blob, I'm going to blood barrage him. And a note that I haven't really covered yet is blowpipe specs. We're not bringing SGS, or we're not bringing. I should have ice barraged blood barraged it. It doesn't really matter too much. But I'm not bringing special attack weapons, so my blowpipe is the only thing. And what we're doing is we're going to be saving blowpipe specs for stressful scenarios. For example, where a melee is attacking me directly and I have to pray magic. Let's just get Bofa out and Rigor on temporarily, and we can go and kill the major here. So what's coming up right now is about to be a stressful scenario. I've got Rigor on right now ahead of time, and what's going to happen is the melee's going to dig. There's a lot of stuff up here that... Okay, what I could do is stand over here when the melee digs, that's okay, but I've got a lot of stuff up here. So what I'm doing is I've got Rigor on in preparation. I'm going to try and burst down the major, and it's possible it will die, in case it will in this case. But I'm going to demonstrate what it's like to tank the melee. So let's say the major doesn't quite die here. I'm going to get my blowpipe specs on and just attack the melee. I'm just attacking him. I've got my finger on the blowpipe spec trigger. I'm getting ready to blowpipe spec. Getting ready to blowpipe specs. He just dies. That's all it is to it. That's all there is. So in that case, I thought the major would die. It didn't, but it doesn't really matter. And all we've done is we've killed the melee. Don't have to pray against it, don't have to preflick against it, nothing special. Okay, let's get this blob to dragon. Bit more restore. But that's what blowpipe specs are for. If you're not sure about how you deal with a scenario, or if you think that the NPC is going to mess you up, just put on Rigor, get ready for blowpipe spec, and as soon as you lose HP, spec. Just once. If you lose a lot of HP, like you get hit at 50, spec twice. And then begin to hover over your brew. So, double blowpipe spec and brew. Let's just stand still. In fact, we can go around the pillar. This is usually the case that a lot of stuff spawns up here, so let's step in. This blob is going to come down the pillar, but if I take a step in, they all slide across. This is a nice little tip. So standing here means they're going to come and get corner trapped. Standing in the middle means they come and slide across. Okay, I have another scenario where the melee is going to dig, so I got to figure out what I want to do. I could put on rigor and blowpipe spec it when it comes and digs, or I can stand up here. In the last wave, I displayed what happens when I stand here. In this wave, I'm going to display what happens when I stand here. Okay, so I've got 2 blobs on me, and I'm just going to flick the blobs while clicking the melee. Not too bad. The difference between this wave and last wave was that this blob was 2 bats. And so in this form, I would have to kill the 2 bats and then kill the melee. Because the melee is safe spotted, but the bats aren't. So that's the real big difference between those 2 waves. Very good ways to display some stuff though. Our south pillar is now dead, but we're approaching wave 50, so that's completely fine, if not beneficial. This means I can stand here, and I'm not going to get hit by anything on the south side. At least until it drags in a bit closer. Okay, let's go work on these guys. Runtime is about 53 minutes, so we're getting relatively deep into the run now. And there's only about 10 waves remaining that are anything close to difficult. Missed my flick there. That's Blood Barrage. Not bad. Clean up with Blowpipe, and let's get this guy to drag in. We're going to heal on him at the end. Oh, we need to drag him in fully as well. Don't be afraid to just completely pull him in. 1 barrage, we're 99. Let's use another dose of restore. And we've used about 4 restores to get the majority of the way through the Inferno. 1 barrage. Let's just stand still. Okay, looks good. We can bow for this guy if we want to save the pillar. And by the looks of it, we can attack the major as well. Okay, wave 50 and onwards, we're going to start not using our Virtus Top for the start of the waves, and we are going to use Crystal Shield. What we're trying to do here is maximize our range defense, so that when the ranger attacks us, it usually misses. And we're going to reorganize some of our potions to be a bit nicer up in our inventory, leaving these slots free. Okay, these guys are going to dig together. When melees spawn at the start of waves, they dig together, and we can choose a tile to move to that is able to attack the major and is safe from the side. This tile works perfectly. This is really good. Again, we can work with melees on this side or this side from this tile. I could have alternatively ducked behind the pillar back here and been completely safe. But let's just take our time here. We're 99 HP, we're good to go. The Bastions and the brews are really just to be used whenever you need them. If you're 50 HP and you're under attack, just use them. Use 3 doses and a restore, or 2 doses and a restore. You have so many supplies, you have to use them. The entire point of them is to be used. But so far, the way we've solved waves means we just don't need them. We're now going to start from this tile here. Praying Mage and Augury if we have excess prayer and want a bit more defense. 1 barrage, and we're going to corner trap a lot of stuff using this tile here. We can pray range to release it and back out. But we're going from this tile over here for a lot of waves. I don't really want to kill the ranger in case it gets respawned, so let's move around the pillar. He's trapped over here. And I can maybe finish up with blowpipe up here too. Whenever you're moving to this edge of the to this side of the arena, remember that you have to be like within your pillar. If I take a step out, I'm going to get hit by the ranger. If I'm here and I take a step up, I'm going to get hit by the ranger. You got to work between these lines. Just be a bit aware. I could have alternatively just barraged or blowpiped and been relatively close over here as well. But yeah, so your supplies are meant to be used. We sip restore all the time, brews if necessary. And I have Bastion in the inventory. So Bastion's going to be used for like waves 58 onwards, maybe like 2 or 3 doses for those waves. And then we're going to keep a full one for Zuck. Maybe a dose extra would be nice. I also have Stamina, and you can use this whenever you want to. We only really need 1 or 2 doses for Zuck, so the 3rd and 4th are completely up to you if you ever need it. Don't ever run out of run energy, just use it. 1 barrage, let's click the ground in case we get dragged out, and pray range for the ranger. Let's kill this back because it's just annoying. And I've got nibblers on the pillar, which is a bit awkward, but there's not much I can do. Let's go and attack the major. If I want to speed things up, let's throw on rigor. I really can't get to these guys without having to flick the ranger and the major, and that can be lethal, so let's not do that. Remember, our north pillar is like perfectly intact, and it's easy to protect. We only have about 10 waves remaining of difficult NPCs. So across 10 waves, this guy is going to survive. So just chill. Got rigor on camping it. I might be able to save the pillar, which is good. We can get a couple more waves out of west pillar. And there we go. Let's pray range, come across, get a nice barrage over there, try and get rid of them. And kill this bat as well while we're at it. And we got them, so we can save the pillar. If this was North Pillar, I would have attacked them much sooner, but we don't really care too much about West. Let's use more restore. We're 99 HP, which is great. If we ever need more HP in these waves, we'll just barrage up or brew. One barrage, and let's just chill for a second, pray range. I'm going to kill these bats yet again, because they're getting to me. Notice the ranger, even standing here, the ranger just falls in on the pillar. I might be able to Bofa that. This is one of those cases where it looks a bit far away, so what I'm going to do is pray mage, just in case they get dragged out, and then click the ground immediately. Very, very, very good tip to just click the ground whenever you're not sure about it. And now we have our first pillar stack. This is the point where you load up Exact's guide, or you go to We Do Raids Discord and have a look at their Inferno text guide on how to do this stuff. There are lots of different stacks. This is the most simple one. With a ranger and a major in either format, you click the back NPC, praying against the back NPC. It looks like this. Starting in the middle of the pillar, with run on, it's going to drag us out this way, like this. And you can click it and click back immediately, and this will give you a testing sort of feel of how it works. What we're doing is we're getting the back one to see us first, which means we're off-ticking them. If I stay here, it looks a bit like this. And you can get a feel for this. You can do it a few times until you have a pretty good understanding of the timing. I wouldn't recommend doing this to attack the ranger and kill it, but if you want to, this is an option. This means you're not confident in one-tick alternating, and what I want to get you to do is to one-tick alternate. But that's how we set it up. And then once we incorporate the cycle, we can attack the back one, pray mage, click the major, and then alternate. That looks something like this. I'm just going to kill the ranger because it's low. Normally you wouldn't kill the ranger because if it respawns, I got to reset this whole thing up, but it was low enough, so I may as well. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend clicking the major and alternating with the major. Now, you've had lots of practice leading up to wave 50 from the blobs and the ranger, so or the blobs and the major. So your one-tick alternation should be fairly good at this point if you've been doing a few attempts. Don't be afraid to just commit. We can kill this bat immediately. You can leave it as well, doesn't matter. But preventing stuff respawning is good. If the ranger respawns, it's just a nuisance. Using Rig here to speed it up. Preparing for a respawn. Cool. Tank gear on. One barrage, click the ground. And what I can do here is put my Bofa on and run all the way back, praying range. This guy's going to see me eventually. I'm just using Nibbler safe spot. These guys are stuck. And we have control right now of the ranger. Let's get another stack going. So this guy's probably going to sit in here and slide down. That's fine. So what options do we have? For pillar stacks like this, if anything's on top of each other, just wiggle about on the pillar like this and get a feel for what's going on. So it seems like the blob can move, these guys can't, which means if I was to attack from this side, the blob and the ranger would see me. If I attack from this side, the major and the blob would see me. So I know how to deal with the major and the blob and just alternate. From this point onwards, I'm just going to immediately alternate instead of setting it up slowly. And I'd recommend just trying to get into a habit of doing this. Makes life easy. Keep alternating till the blob attacks you. Now I can move. In that case, I made a mistake. I forgot the ranger would be unstuck. So what I should have done is just run back here and take a blob hit. Because I took a ranger hit there. Now I've got this stack, and I can do exactly the same thing. Just alternate. If you need heals, you can heal from the blob at the end. Keep alternating till the blob attacks you. If you don't care much about your HP, just run away. 94 right now, so we're okay. As you get to later waves, you can always pre-dose a brew into a dose of super restore for a bit more defense and HP buffer. if you've got plentiful supplies, that's a good idea. Combining that with a Bastion dose is nice as well. I'm 95 HP right now. I should really be 99, but it's not that big a deal. These waves are not too complex still. Okay, maybe Augury on for some defense. One Ice Barrage, and let's just tuck ourselves into the pillar. And we can go around the pillar here. Notice I've still got my crystal shield on. I'm still like keeping my tank gear on. These guys are both stuck. Let's DPS the bat down. And I can save this pillar yet again. Gotta be careful not to move too far up. If I blow pipe, I might get dragged too far. So I'm just switching to Bofa. And I've got a ranger up here and a major. In the ideal world, as a learner, if you're competent or confident enough, you can get your camera angle ready, maybe rigger off, and just wait for the ranger attack, and go around and attack, and to find a nice flick. There's a lot of waves where the best solution is to find an off-tick. This isn't too hard to do, but it might take a bit of practice, which is okay. But that would be the best solution. The alternate solution for people who aren't confident in doing that would be to go and attack, just kill the blob. Just kill the blob. Same solution as always, DPS something down. This blob is gatekeeping you from getting to the major, so just kill it. By standing on the corner, the major is safe spotted, it's not going to get to me. And remember, if I attack this melee, I'm going to get dragged down. So I got to take a step back here, but if I do that, the major's going to see me, so I can't just pray melee, I got to pray mage. And then when this guy dies, I'm going to get seen, so... like this. Yeah, okay, he's respawned instead, which is fine. But I gotta be careful. You don't want to just rush the attack here. You want to really let them drag down. A bit like with the melees when they're on top of you, you just gotta let them do their thing. With the major, just let it drag down. Weird circumstance, but it's fine. So we have a ranger and a blob to end with, which is great because we're fairly low HP. And all I gotta do is kill the major. And then we're just waiting.
Bananas.
Nice.
This is wave 54. Thanks, Simo. Okay, let's go. Simple alternation yet again. And because we're on 82 HP, we're gonna heal from the blob. Dragging him in fully. And I'm going to be using the Phantom Barraging stuff to get some more HP guaranteed. So I come here, straight line back, all the way. This is a bit more important in later waves. Maybe some negatives off. Augury on, Blood Barrage once, twice. I haven't done it much in this run, but it's really useful. I got 99 anyway, so there we go. I did this a lot more in the other runs. Pray Mage, one Barrage, tuck ourselves into the pillar, and maybe try and pray range for the blob. I now have to flick the blob. I'm going to kill this bat. I want to go around the pillar here, so let's go around and pray Mage. And there's a bat respawn, so let's just Bofa it. I have a Bofa, which is really nice for this stuff. Ooh, took a mage hit. Should have just left my mage pray on. It's okay though. I can always Blood Barrage here and get some more back. Pray range for a second. Okay, not a big deal. If I took more, I can brew. But we're fine. Sometimes just camping mage pray if in doubt is better. I just misplayed. At this point, we're getting close to... we're like 55, closing in on 58, 59, 60, etc. We don't have to worry so much about West Pillar anymore, so if nibblers are over there, I'm not going to try and save them. I'm just chilling. And now is the point where I'm going to start thinking about pre-brewing, pre-restoring, or using Bastion to get through these waves. I also have an excess amount of restore, so I can always use Rigor for the entire wave if I want to. I could probably camp Rigor until the end of the run, like this, and be okay. So we're all good. Do not worry about your supplies at any point in time. Just use them to get through the run. If I want some guaranteed HP, I can always heal off this guy. But we're going to kill the blob first. In earlier waves, it's better to kill the blob first. Oh, sorry, it's better to kill the blob last in earlier waves. because it gives you a nice easy heal. They're easy to set up. In later waves, it's better to heal off the ranger because it's a bit more consistent and can't hit you with different styles. So healing from the ranger in late waves is really good. Okay. So we can start with augury on this time. Grab book open. One nice barrage and click the ground. Maybe run away from these guys, duck into the corner just to play safe. I'm gonna go to Nibbler's safe spot, kill this guy. I'm flicking the blob over there. Got my mage prey on for going for this guy just in case. Flicking the blob. Okay. So let's have a look and see what's going on. I've got to try and flick the blob while I work things out. Got the attack, let's pray. It looks like the ranger is stuck. He can't move past the major. So actually, if I just go and click the major here, I can alternate this. Just takes a second to have a look. No need to rush it. When this guy dies, the ranger is going to be unstuck, which means I gotta run away. Let's run away. Notice the ranger's now unstuck. I'm gonna keep flicking this guy, and now I'm gonna come around and alternate with ranger, killing this guy. Now I can step in. One barrage. I took a bit of damage, no big deal. Let's kill this guy off. And let's go around the pillar. I can blood barrage from him and heal up on the ranger. Let's click the second, there we go. Should really be praying mage here as well. Maybe one more. There we go. Now we can go to the ranger, sip a restore. More healing, double check we're on autocast, and we're good to go. All the way to 99, no big deal. Very, very small amount of time lost for doing something like this. Next wave, we have the two blobs collapsing into a melee. This is now wave 57 coming up. So it begins to get a bit tricky from this wave onwards. But the amount of NPCs is also less, so we should be having an easy time trapping stuff. One barrage, and here's the trick. We're going to kill the melee. This is off-ticked. How do I know? The answer is... I'm just going to let it hit me, by the way. I'm going to get ready to double blow pipes back. As you can see, it's pretty inaccurate. This is just how it is with melees. I've done this like 10 times now and not been killed at all, or hit at all. Anyway. The trick with this is by standing still, whenever a melee spawns up here, over here, over here, over here, in combination with a ranger or a major, if you're standing either side of the pillar but not in the center, it's off-tick. That's just something you can learn. If you're standing in the middle, if I was standing here, that would be on-tick with all the melee spawns. So you can just chill here and you're fine. If you want to flick it, that is. You automatically know it's off-tick. But don't feel pressured to do that. Again, I just stood still and attacked it and you're fine. Melee digs. And what do? In this case, I'm going to kill the major. We're fine. By the time the first blob gets here is when we gotta start being a bit careful. That'll be wave 60. So this is a wave where I'd recommend considering starting to brew up. I've got a fairly high amount of restore right now though.
Pizza with those arms.
Thanks, Valen. So augury on, mage prey on, one nice barrage. And let's tuck into the pillar and pray range.
I rather have a max fire game.
This melee, I'm going to corner trap him. He's coming around the pillar, and that's a bit scary. He might get to me, in which case I take a step down. That's just something you have to know. If the melee's hitting you, you can always move down here to re-trap him. And I'm just going to kill the melee. Scary wave. This is a very scary wave. Let's now get these nibblers. And it's dead. Okay. So this is tricky. For this wave, I needed to be aware that... Oh, I can kill the melee, by the way, because it's been respawned. I can just kill it. It won't come back to life again. But I have to be aware that while looking at this side of the room, that melee is stuck on the edge of the major like this, which means it's sliding down. And again, the idea here is simply just move down the pillar a bit, and then each time you move down, it's going to bring yourself a bit away from the melee. It's going to allow it to be a bit more corner trapped each time. You can move all the way down and down and down until it's okay. You can't go all the way. Taking a bit of a time. I've got loads of restore on this run, so let's just use a bit more rigor. And I'm fairly low HP now, so let's get a bit more out of this. There's 99. And I'm fairly low prayer, so on a wave like this, we're now approaching 60. I can use a dose of brew, a dose of restore, and a dose of bastion. So we're getting some use out of the bastions. I've got defense and range bonus now, so I can just DPS everything I want to. One barrage. Let's put our proper gear on with rigor. And what I'm going to do is step over this way a bit, praying range, to let the major drag in. I can kill this bat, and it's gatekeeping these two NPCs. But I just want the major to come a bit closer. Now that he's here, we're good to go. Okay, we're going to do a trick. So I'm gonna step out and then in. And all this does is release the melee. I can now take a step down, or a couple steps down if I want to. And now, I'm going to take hits from the melee. Ah, a bit late. Okay, that was very unlucky. Let's focus on killing the major. He's one hit away from death. Should be fine. And now, we're doing a very cheeky corner trap. I have options here. When the major dies, I can run over here away from the ranger, or I can run up here if you're fast enough. But when something is like super low HP like that, it's okay to really go for it. Again, I have defense up, I have range potion up. So I'm going to be burning through these waves. Big DPS. So the safer option for sure would have just been to run over here and then pray melee. That's fine. Oh, please don't hit me. That's fine. Okay, 97 HP, should be fine. All the nibblers are coming towards North Pillar now, which is great. One barrage, and let's just run up. Pray range and run away from the major. Okay, I have options here. The easiest option is probably to kill this blob. I'm not even going to pray mage or anything, I'm just going to kill it. I can get Bofa on and hit the melee for a minute. I can probably kill the melee while I'm here. Maybe blowpipe this guy, just get rid of him. Blowpipe spec on the melee. 2 pipe specs on the melee. Let's kill these guys off. I just want them to die. I just want them to die. There are some slightly nicer solutions where I go and meet the major, and I can stand here before the major pulls in. But this is a showcase that even on a late wave, killing stuff works. I have rigor on, I'm potted. I took like 30 HP of damage, I pipe spec twice, got a bit back. That's all it is. And now on a simplistic wave where there's nothing left, if it does spawn, it's going to spawn up here and drag into the pillar. Okay, so one thing has spawned, and in this case, I'm going to use it to heal. There's 91, that's okay. Chances are something else is going to spawn as well. Use another dose of super restore. There's a blob. And we're going to do the same thing again. If something respawns, you want to deal with it on its own. Because if I get a respawn stack up here, that's not so good. I'm just going to go and kill it really quickly, heal off it, get the maximum value I can, and then finish up on the major again. If the melee spawns, I'm just going to go kill the melee. Well, okay. Kind of expected. And remember, I'm trying to go relatively fast here because my boost time is ticking down. 107 range bonus. Augury on. Nice big camera angle, 1 barrage, and let's pray melee. Tucking ourselves into the pillar. Let's kill this guy immediately. I can kill the bat actually, since I'm praying melee. And notice that this melee is preventing the blob from moving. So what I'm going to do is, well, I've got a few options here. Killing the blob would make sense, but I could also corner trap it. I've also got this pillar stack here, which I've got to be aware of. I think what I'll do is I'll simply pray range, go to the nibble safe spot, pray mage for the blob, kill this guy. Just trying to flick the blob. Okay, now I have some cool options. Because the blob is here and I'm one tick alternating, if I do this pillar stack and I alternate, the blob doesn't exist. So I could do this with rigor on. Now what happens if the melee digs? Well, I can move behind north pillar on a diagonal. I could also right now click the melee if I can get the attack in. Let's just wait for the dig. When I see it move out of the corner of my eye, I can move diagonally up. This is what we did on an earlier wave. It's exactly the same thing. And just get rid of it. Notice how long I've had rigor on here. Really trying to get maximum value out of our Bastion potion. One barrage, it's okay. Finish up here. And being 99, I'm not too worried here. This is now wave 62. Potentially one of the hardest waves, alongside 63. One barrage, let's pray range, and click the melee. I'm getting ready to blow pipe spec if I need to. Pipe specking. I'm now on my brew. I'm going to start brewing. I missed my pipe spec, so I'm triple brewing. Now I'm using restore. Getting ready to brew again. Corner trapping the blob, killing the bat. So my pipe spec's missed. I got hit big damage. Brewing. Supplies are there to be used. Okay, let's take our rigor off and have a think. So I want to get to the major, but the blob is gatekeeping me. I can't come around this way because they'll both see me unless you're competent in flicking both of them. So maybe my best option here is to just kill the blob. So I can't just click it or I'll be dragged out. So I got to take a step down and then I can engage it. Great. Good plan. Let's go. I don't even have to pray mage. It's just going to die. Decent barrage on him. Rigor on again. Click the melee, get rid of it. Wait for the ranger attack. And move around. So don't rush shit. Just think about it. You got loads and loads of prayer. All I did was stand here and think about it for a second. It might take you an extra 30 seconds to come up with a good solution. That's fine. You get faster with more experience. Now, if the blob respawns behind the major, I have some options. I can start alternating. I can run back here and pray against the ranger.
Mean pizza with those arms.
But even if something's not happening right now, I can think about it. What if a melee respawns right now? What do I do? Well, maybe I just attack the melee and kill it. If the blob spawns again, alternate or move to the ranger. And instead of like thinking about it as it happens, you can come up with a couple of good solutions on the fly before it ever happens. You can just do one of them automatically. Let's use rigor again here. Cleaning up. Try and kill off these bats as well. And on to the ranger. Because I brewed for the melee, my Bastion bonus is gone, but we are on a relatively hard wave here, 63, so I'm going to use another dose. Let's use Brew, Restore, and Bastion. Got my tank gear on, augury on. These are hard waves, so we want all this defense bonus. One barrage, let's corner trap over here. Rigor on in preparation. I'm going to flick the blob for a moment while attacking the melee. And now I'm going to pray melee. Hands off the keyboard. Let your blowpipe do the work. Dead. Okay, let's start flicking the blob yet again. Now I can think. Hands off, just have a think. My pillar's good HP. Don't have to worry about this right now. Okay, so what do? I want to kill the major. So I can stand here, maybe, on this side of the pillar. So when I release the ranger, I can pray range coming around the pillar. And then mage as I move over here. That sounds good. Then I can start alternating. So both are on. Let's pray range coming out, mage round the pillar, and then I can start alternating. Now, of course I have to kill this guy as well. So let's put rigor on here, blowpipe on, and just ignore the blob. Ignore the blob, kill the melee. I've got loads of HP, I've got rigor bonus, everything on. Okay, now we can start alternating. Ignore the blob, doesn't matter. Ready? Okay. Alternate strategy for that wave might have been going and killing the ranger. I could have taken a step down and killed the ranger. Lots and lots and lots of good ways to solve waves. No one particular method is the best. And we could kill the ranger, let the blob slide round. In this case, I'm going to just attack the blob and then move in. I'm full HP, so I can heal off the ranger. And funnily enough, this will allow me to hit everything, which is actually quite nice. Oh, I'm going to run back here. Damn, mage is alive. Rigor on, I'm going to kill this guy. Just going to get rid of it. It's going to cause a nuisance otherwise. And I can heal just fine. So now we're past the hard waves. Should be smooth sailing to Cape. And we're out here at about 90 minutes, which is pretty good. We want a sub 2 hour Cape, give or take. Dose of restore, proper gear on, nice tank gear. Ready to barrage, and I've got a really nice wave. I can pray mage, come around, get rid of this nibbler, and let's just tuck into the pillar and let the major come around. There's a few things I have to be aware of here. For example, the melees are going to dig, so before I do anything, let's just realize for a second that I can corner trap this melee, and this major, and so when the melees dig, I want to stand here. I can get ready for this. I can even right-click here, just to get ready. Anything to get ready. I'll get some damage on the major, but I'm waiting for the guys to dig. They dig, let's walk in, corner trap, and pray melee. And now I've got to deal with these guys. Let's right-click again, finish them up. So this can be a really tricky wave if you don't think about stuff like that. If, for example, I stood in the middle of the pillar down here and let the major drag all the way around, when the melees dig, where do I go? There's not really a good place. And tanking 2 melees and a major, you're probably going to die. There are still ways to like get out of bad scenarios like that, like coming around this way and killing the ranger, but you don't want to have to do that. And so you can alleviate a lot of problems for yourself just by thinking about, how do I trap an NPC? What can I really do to like make life easy for myself? And in that case, I already had a safe spot. All I'm doing is I'm using these 3 tiles, start tile, and pulling myself into the pillar to generate some traps. And these traps will save you in a lot of the late waves. Or make life really easy. Next up is Major Double Ranger. Fairly easy wave. All we're going to do is isolate the Major. Or if the Rangers are in a good spot, isolate Rangers. Definitely want Augury on for this wave. You got tons of restores and supplies, don't worry about them at all. One barrage, and let's just pray range. I'm not going to attack these guys immediately, I'm going to let this guy pull in fully. There's no reason to rush. Now I can try and give it a go. Should have line of sight. Looks good. Great. Alright, so I got some problems here. I want to get to the major, but I'm gate kept. So let's remove one of the gatekeepers. There's a few things in this run that I didn't get to show off. For example, if I stand here, this guy will pull in closer, and then I can attack him. I didn't get to showcase much of this run, so if you're interested in other tips and tricks or different solves and solutions, other runs do a much better job of showing that kind of thing off. But it is a thing. There are lots of more things like that that you can use for majors and staying north side. Hence why we do a lot of these runs. Let's run away. Just run away. Let's kill this guy. We have no reason to engage with this stack. No reason to chance ourselves with that low HP. This is now a conventional classic pillar stack, so I can deal with it nice and easy. And considering how low the HP of the ranger is, I could also kill that. Either way, we're going to do it properly. So we can test, make sure we got the right stack solution, the right starts tile, everything. And then whenever we're ready... Okay. This is one of those where sometimes some shit like this happens. This is one good reason why you don't really want to be... And what we're doing is we're just wiggling to see if anything unsticks, and it does kind of do. But this is one of those reasons why you don't really want to kill stuff if you can avoid it. Now I can just test it by moving in and out to see what hits me. And it looks like this guy's on his own, so that's okay. So in this case, it's not too bad a scenario, but you got to be careful to not let this happen. Hence, killing the major first. And now we're back to our classic stack. Let's give them time to settle, and then we can test, and then we can go. And we're home free. Right, double major up next. These guys are pretty easy. Just remember at the end of this wave, your north pillar is going to fall down, so make sure you start up nice and away from it, and stay away from it. One barrage. Rigor on at this point until the end of the cape is completely fine. And Jad spawns over here, so we want to be up here somewhere. I might just drag these guys back around a bit to make life easier. You can do this. Or they're kind of like frogs. Right. Remember, they can revive each other, so try not to let that happen, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, this guy's getting pretty close to dying. Let's switch targets. We have 5.5 restores, good prayer bonus. We're going to finish with maybe 2 or 3 at this rate. Again, this is another run where we basically don't touch our restores. Sorry, we don't touch our prayer, we just leave it on. There's almost no reason to. So we got 6 doses Bastion.
You look like you would make a mean pizza with those
We do
arms.
want to use some of this stuff. And as soon as we get the Jads, we're going to start using it. Okay, let's keep Brigger on here. Try and kill this guy. Hopefully there's no respawn. Doesn't matter if there is. And as we start up, we're going to use a dose of Brew, Restore, and Bastion. Brew, Restore, Bastion. Brigger stays on now. We're going to stand here for all of the Jads. Every single Jad, we're going to start here. Or in relation to the tile position, anyway. And you want to live in your prayer book. Keep it open at all times, keep your mouse poised. Look at Jad, click your prayer. Look at Jad, click your prayer. Jad and triple Jads and Zuck are all relatively low APM-wise. Healers come out, let's stay still and click the furthest ones away. We're going to start with the ones that are further away, and then go to the ones that is touching Jad on this side. If you end up with lines of stacks of healers, you can run back, and often or not you'll get this kind of thing where they just get stuck. This guy's still healing, so I'm going to go back for him. This happens a lot. If you see light above Jad or you see one doing a movement, just attack it. And now we're chilling. This looks complex, but all we're doing is we're moving from our start tile further north. That will both mean that healers, if there's lots of them on you, you'll only get one of them on you. And sometimes if there's some behind you, they'll get stuck like this. So it's fairly simple, and we're going to do the same thing for triple Jads. Let's use another dose of Restore. Very melee running up in case of these guys. And let's just start in the center of the room somewhere. Roughly center, and attack your Jad. Let's start here, same tile again. And we want good line of sight to all Jads. We want to see all of them very clearly. We also want to be seeing this side of Jad behind him. Because this area here is where the healers spawn, like this. That's why we have the camera angle a bit turned around. Live in your prayer book. Good line of sight to all of them. Don't be too hasty, again you have a lot of time to react. Triple Jads clicking wise is quite easy, but it's very punishing, so just focus up. There's the healers. Let's get ready. Just right click and attack. Do one at a time. Do this in your own time. There's no reason to rush it. And notice that by using this tile, only one of them can attack me. This is what we want. I gotta take a dose of restore at some point in time. So I'm gonna try and kill this Jad and then have time to use a restore dose. If you're comfortable flicking to the inventory, then feel free, but for now we're just gonna keep it simple. Don't worry too much about the healer damage, just focus on the Jads. Now we're going to run between them. I can take a dose of restore here. I can get some attacks on the way. Be careful to path around Jads as they can melee you. It doesn't really matter which one you attack, but we're standing in the same tile again. I want clear line of sights to both Jads. And now we got about 5 restores, so plenty. I can sip another dose here if I want. We're just burning it with rigor the entire time. Healers are coming out. Let's take a second to get the prayer, and now we can attack. One after the other. And now this one's going to get to me, so I can run north. And eventually I'll get this nice line of healers. This line of healers isn't going to attack me as much, which is good. Now if you need the brew, feel free. You've got loads and loads of brew. Same position, up here. I'm a bit lower this time on HP. What you can do is you can run through Jad and heal off this guy and his healers if you want to. It doesn't make too much difference. If you got the HP and the brew, you're fine, but you may as well. Healer's coming out. Pick the far one. Pick the one on Jad. And this guy's stuck, so I can run behind him. And I get this lovely little thing again. Now, again, if you want to heal from these guys, you can do. If you want to heal from them, tag them all. And pray melee when you run between Jad. You still have to pray flick him properly. Oh, I need to get this guy. But remember to pray melee. This is a bit trickier to do, but if you're comfortable, then feel free. I let them buy here, so I'm going to do it on the other side. Doesn't really matter which way you go, you will eventually get it. It's a bit more awkward to do stuff like that, but you can. Augury here is good. I'm just clicking the close one, the middle one, getting to 99. There's 99. Now we can kill Jad. Again, before we start the suck, we're going to go to 115 with Brew. And use another dose of Bastion as well. So I can use it now. Dose of Brew. Dose of Restore. Dose of Bastion. I can even pre-dose a stand dose if I want to. I can just get everything ready. I'm leaving Rigor on. 4 Restores for Zuck, 4 Brews for Zuck. Completely fine. You can do it on 1 or less if you really have to. Just gets harder the less you have. Right click, get ready to attack, and follow the shield. Try and get another hit off going towards the edge. A lot of what matters early on is consistent hits. Bofa is a 4-tick weapon, we want to attack on 4 ticks. When he attacks, you can move to the next safe spot. These 3 tiles are the dangerous ones, and these 3 up here are the dangerous ones. So essentially the middle tiles between the safe spots. You get a bit more used to them, the more capes you do, the more runs you do, the more zucks you do. And learning to use your tiles well and making sure you move well is all part of the content. Bofa's hitting quite well. We're leaving Rigor on the entire fight. And don't be afraid to top up, so just another dose of restore every time you need it. On this side, we're going to get the Major and the Ranger. I recommend off-ticking if you have the left side here. You can also just DPS the Ranger down. So if you want to, you can tag the Major, then the Ranger, and just pray Mage, and just Blowpipe here. You will get hit, and that's okay. Once you get to the edge, you can get a Blowpipe spec ready. Let's use 1 and 2, and get ready to brew. Ooh, scary. Just clicking the safe spot. I'm brewing twice, drinking some super restore, and a Bastion dose, and now we're back topped up. So if you want to off-tick, I've got off-ticks in some of the other videos. If you want to DPS, that's completely fine. Handling sets kind of depends which side you want to go, how confident you are flicking, that kind of stuff. And the goal now is to get Zuck to 600 HP. And then the set time is paused. So we leave the Major alive, because that would be a time waste. We're getting there. Both is hitting quite well right now. Nearly there. There's 600. We've got to be at 599, so I need one more hit. There we go. Now I can take my time and kill this Major. Set timer is paused. Let's use another dose of restore. Just making sure it's dead. If I click it when it dies, I could misclick it. And now we're going to get to Jad. Let's use another dose of stamina. We can just stam anytime we want. And after Jad spawns, we're going to really rush healers. If your Zuck is tremendously slow, then hopefully you have a set timer or a friend helping you with set timer, and they can tell you you're slow so you can wait. But in my case, I'm just going to go and kill Jad. I think I can attack from both sides. Should be fun. And we're going to swing our camera around a bit, just so we can see Jad a bit easier. We're going to live in our prayer book. We are DPS racing this. Just sitting in our prayer book. Another dose of restore. Oh, I didn't mean to sip the brew there. I'll sip a restore and a Bastion dose. I have plenty of supplies. Just a misclick. And this is quite a slow Jad. When the healers spawn, we can barrage them to get them together. Let's send the barrage. We're nice and close. If you're really far over here, if you're on this tile here on the left, you got to be careful. You got to wait a second to move back around. Okay, Jad's dead. Let's focus Zuck. $240 is when healers spawn, which is burning supplies. And we'll see if we can get him on the left proc here. I can probably do one more rotation and be okay. I've only got 2 doses Bastion left, so I'm going to be a bit careful using them. I'm quite high-potted right now. And we do not want to proc him in the middle. Another dose of stam. Let's see. 277. I gotta be careful here, so let's attack them at the edge here. Maybe now. Wait for it to hit the edge. Let's try and proc. One more hit. Not so lucky. Okay. So this is where it gets a little bit annoying, but RNG. If you have a set timer, it will help you. If I get a set, I'm probably just going to tag the Major and the Ranger. If I get it from the left side, there's a good chance that... I'll keep Mage Spray on here as well. Let's tag from the edge. Tag the healers with Bofa or Blowpipe. And now we really have to tag as many of them as we can. I'm using Bofa to get the ones far away. And then I'm Blowpiping. Don't worry about what you're praying. Redemption is not good. We're going to use Brew. If you have no Brew remaining, you can Redempt. Just following the shield perfectly now. You have to follow the shield. We want to be towards the leading edge of the shield. Bofa is very good by this, by the way. Blowpipe is slightly better, but Bofa is very good. Let's Brew. I don't really want to get that low HP. 3 doses Brew. Staying with the shield. Dose of Restore. Take my prayer off now. Just in case it spawned during the waves, during the healers. And we have to stay with the shield. Dose of Restore. Dose of Bastion. So you still want to use the safe spots to kind of attack him. Okay, here's the set. Let's tag the Major. Get some damage on while I get closer to the Ranger. Maybe start with a Bofa hit. And I'm going to Blowpipe Walk with the shield. All the way to the safe spot. Oh, careful there. Gotta stand here. Gonna Brew. Can't be too far away from the safe spot. With the shield. If you're not sure, just use Bofa. Blowpipe is slightly better though. I think I've done that mistake a few times now. Gotta be a bit more careful. Using all my supplies. Last dose of Bastion. Last dose of Stem. And we can ignore this guy. Most importantly, just don't greed hits. If you're not sure it's safe, don't greed hits. Alright, being calm very good as well. Cool. Just under 2 hours, 15 minutes shaved off, so a bit of a faster run, definitely more DPS solves in there. But yeah, that will finish up, I think, 10 whole videos of First Cape stuff with a lot of Bofas. If you're looking for other solves or other wave stuff, more ideas on how to solve melees and all that good stuff, have a look at the other videos. Finishing with excess brew, whole restore remaining. This is, again, a run where I just can't pray the entire time, pretty much. Most other runs I'm finishing on maybe 2, 3, even 4 restores, 4 brews sometimes. But this was a one where I tanked sets as well, so you get the idea. You have loads and loads of supplies, use them. But that's about it. For the next few runs, we're going to be doing, not few Infernos, we're done with Inferno now. Plenty of resources up. We're going to be doing lots of TOB, lots of improvement stuff. How to improve clicks, how to improve like game sense, learn different stuff fast.